Hello, everyone. Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum Knowledge Foundation and United Nations Developing Program, welcoming all of our audience and participants to our unique KnowTalk series of 2022. Today's session is with Dr. Alam, who is the CEO and co-founder of HashMove, speaking about connected logistics and how the upcoming era of click and move is affecting it. Thank you for being here with us, Dr. Alam. The platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Hamza. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, the audience. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Thank you very much again for giving the opportunity to discuss a very important and not to be neglected sector in our economy, which of course is e-commerce. What e-commerce has been perceived previously, how it's been perceived now, and how it is going to be perceived in upcoming years. It's something which has been in mind and head of everyone, whether it's a businesses, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a household. This segment, no doubt, is impacting everybody's life and everybody's, trend and choices. And of course, once the behavior and pattern of the individual and the economy and the society changes, it also drives the growth as well as the different trends by the industry, because they have to actually cater the requirement of the consumer. So I congratulate the KnowTalks platform for arranging this very important session about the importance of e-commerce in an era which is basically a connected era, which is basically an era where the ship and purchase behavior are happening on a click of a button, and of course, driving the greater force of economy towards that way. So today's discussion, as the topic suggested, let me just pull up my presentation screen for you. It's a very small presentation. It basically gives an idea about how the different segment are affecting this sort of like industry. So let's get on to it. When we talk about an economy, it's all the importance of that economy drives by the numbers, what that number has been suggesting in that economy. And knowingly or not knowingly, the e-commerce industry have actually jumped to over 20 trillion or 25 trillion dollars, just because of the pandemic, where the online sale have actually grown up. We, as an industry's experts, were already predicting that. I mean, of course, not knowing the pandemic was supposed to coming in the world or not, but economic pundits have always predicted the growth of e-commerce and its pace in the world by 2010 to 2015 anyways. But at that time, the industry was, trailing between $2 to $5 trillion, and suddenly the jump have actually gone to 500-600 times just because of the COVID in itself. So when we talk about a jump in an industry, whether the jump in that industry have actually come because of an external factor and forces, or that jump have actually occurred naturally, it doesn't really matter. Because it leaves a impact onto the buyer behavior. And once the buyer actually have made up a mind, it's very difficult to change it and reverse it. For an instance, we are living in an environment where our kids basically at home have actually born with the philosophy of having a iPad at their homes or in their hands. And from the very beginning, they know that, what could be done by that piece of machine. Similarly, that goes with, the mobile phones and, of course, the rapid, sort of like sense of having your product in your hands, instantly, and which basically have also changed industry towards the Q-commerce, which has been seen as an impactful, sort of like environment lately. So whether we believe it or not, this industry is going to be remain there forever. It is only going to go increase. $26 trillion is still very conservative. I reckon it's going to be hitting by over $100 trillion in next 5 years. And why? Because earlier, when the industry was prevailing into environment like 3 to $5 trillion, the one of the main focus of that industry was or not to have that growth industry was because that industry was not entirely connected from the first mile of logistics point of view. So, for instance, I mean, when we actually shop anything online, and when we demand something to be in our hands, it's a human behavior. It's a very natural human behavior that we want that particular product to be in our hands on ASAP basis. Sometimes we have to pay extra subscription or extra money to actually receive those goods in our hands. Most of the time, it did come to our hand, but many products in the world have never been able to reach in the hand of consumers on a shorter period of time or a shorter lead time. Reason that from the point of view of that product being manufactured in the world till it's time to reaches to distribution, that industry is so archaic and so outdated that plannings and pre-sales activities and pre-production and pre-procurement activities were taking a lot of times to basically reach those products to come into hands of a warehouse owners. Now where the world is heading, if you can see the screen, the world is heading towards the digitalization of the entire segmentation of those logistics industry, because unless that is happening, this industry is, the e-commerce industry is not going to grow further. But thankfully now the complete logistics in the world, from the first mile to the last mile, are somehow in shaping it its form, where the digital connectivity are getting increased and massive. From the point of manufacturer to the distributor to the warehouse stockist, they are getting connected by the drive of these industries, where they are ultimately knowing that when their goods are coming into their hands, and once that they have that visibility into their hands and into their eyes, and of course, they actually feed it further for this outlet channels for sales, and one being e-commerce. So it is very important for all of us to know that if this industry is going to grow, this industry can only grow if the first mile of logistics are connected, which are started to getting connected already. And of course, the impact of that facility and flexibility are going to come into the hands of the consumer. And most of the time, we talked about in different forums that, when we talk about a product or commodity, why it is so costly sometimes for a consumer to buy. Many of us actually just think that the cost of that particular commodity by the time it reaches our hands are due to the cost of the product itself. Well, it's okay to perceive in that way in some cases, but over 80% of the time, we believe that it is due to the poor logistics connectivity, poor sourcing of logistics, and poor source of procurement of those goods. And of course, a lot of inability for different segment or the regulatory segment which are not connected, which basically leaves a very huge cost of that particular commodity in hands. So as the world have started to recognize it, as the world have started to figure it out that they cannot actually move forward, especially in time of pandemic, we all have learned, until they open up their particular element of their business for others to actually connect with, the things are not going to move. And of course, many people who are ready to do that, I mean, business who are ready to do that, they are going to prevail. And many who do not wish to basically handshake with others in terms of getting their business connected with others, unfortunately, the time will see them left behind, greatly, and they'll be the part of the history. So the connected logistics are the reason why e-commerce industry is booming The connected logistics will make this industry, e-commerce, go triplifying for what it is now. And the same very reason, this consumer behavior and consumer patterns are going to be leaving an impact onto this industry, where the receiving and reversing of that logistics of that or that commodity in particular instance are going to be easy for the consumers. In short, e-commerce, as we know, behavior in short e-commerce industry, we can know that it is very easy for us to actually receive something on our doorsteps and actually return it. But when we talked about a large shipment, when we talk about a large commodities to actually be received by e-commerce, that is proven to be a little bit of a tougher, task for an individual to actually handle it in case the commodity is not, up to the mark. So again, earlier those instances of connectivity were not there. Thankfully, in a year time, last year, the world have actually worked so much towards it and contributing towards it. Many organizations have started to actually feel the importance of it from the point of view of shipping lines, from the airlines, custom regulatory agencies. Similarly, with insurances and digital insurances, they are now collecting it together to make this industry happen. So moving forward, once we have all these facility in hand, the question arises in one's head that how it's going to impact on online shopping industry, and how is the behavior of online shopping industry is changing while they have their goods in their hands. Is it enough for me to actually have a business and have my presence online? And that's enough for actually just making my business go online in terms of like e-commerce or Q-commerce. This is basically a debate which many are doing. And I'm not here to basically indulge in that debate. What I am basically interested in letting everybody know that yes, the e-commerce industries have changed in last 2 years itself from what it used to be. Earlier, we were actually going on e-commerce channels, omni-channels, or different marketplaces. We used to go and actually buy the goods and off. But what is happening now? That a shopper, which basically are a shopper of a particular product by any of these online channels, are actually a salesperson of that particular product. Around 53% of us, it has been, projected in the figure. The over 50% of us are a salesperson of that product, in shape of reviewing, passing our reviews, or in shape of, posting it again. It is how it is. We like to actually buy the things and we talk about it. And, once we talk about it, it basically projected the whole thing. So when we talk about e-commerce, or e-commerce, platform, it is very important for them to actually target onto their buyer behavior more than the product and harping about the product itself. It is very likely that this trend is going to go increase. We as a human being can trust other human beings more than what has been written or by anybody who we do not know. So this trend is going to go further up. Second thing is this, that, thanks to the e-commerce or thanks to the, electronic commerce and Q-commerce, now we are more aware about the authenticity of the product, whether the product is authentic, whether it's been shipped away, it is being demonstrated at the platform. And this thing is very important. If you can just see that if I'm a consumer and I'm buying actually something of not seeing and knowing, it is very important for me to actually have that trust already in my mind and my heart that, I'm going to actually receive what I've been actually asked for. For those who are not actually just going to believe in the authenticity of the product, are going to be part of the history very soon. So the availability of the product is very important, but also the buyers, behavior and buyer reaction and buyers, experience about it all is equally important. And of course, once they actually see that, the product has been authentic, it's a double whammy for them. Now, talk about Another pattern which has been happening in the e-commerce industry, which is very important for us to know, that how the social media is impacting our economy, and driving this e-commerce. Over 69 to 70% of the consumers buying things online on a social media. This trend wasn't there before, 3 years ago, but now it is the part and parcel of your business. If it is not on social media, it's not going to be selling. So people are basically talking about buying things because they've seen on Instagram and on Facebook or TikTok, perhaps. And of course, the influencer marketing are playing a very important role in this industry. So again, if the product is available, if the product is genuine and product is good, and the buyer actually giving the right reviews and things, it has to be onto the social media, marketing channels where it can be, perceived as authenticated, authentic, product, and buyer is going to be most likely to actually have that. We talked about this industry has been increased, of to different folds. If you can see the screen, the pandemic has already inspired around 64% of the buyer behaviors toward this industry. Once we have an experience, once we check the ease of services to be obtained by the help of our, gadgets, I don't think that we are going to go back on a previous model of buying our goods online. Yes, we have we will always have a hybrid environment. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and again, it's not to indulge into this conversation whether hybrid environment is going to be there or not, and of course it's going to be there because it's a human nature. But on the same time, this hybrid environment are actually leaning towards more into the e-commerce behavior, because now it's a time that a consumer require or need to be informed before they actually shop anything, whether they are buying it conventionally or non unconventionally. Of course, we all, if you look at ourselves, we all do our research before actually go towards any kind of like shopping online or do an ordering online. So hybrid environment is going to be there. It is going to be however, the dependency on hybrid environment will be always lesser than an e-commerce environment, and consumer are not going to be bothered about repetitive orders of the goods which they do to actually go and buy from the shops, because they know what they come to their doorsteps when they offer their trust and everything has been built up, and here they are, they are going to be ready to do that. So the conversation is that this e-commerce, from the point of view of a buyer, first and foremost, once he has not choice, he has to do the shopping online, which we have seen in pandemic. But now also, the availability of the resources of those particular product by the virtue of first mile of logistics being connected is much more into the hands of the buyer. They are already informed that this product is reaching, has it sitting in which warehouse, and if it is convenient for them to actually order from there, so be it. So again, this industry is going to go further up because of the first mile are getting connected, which has never been seen by the world before. In 5 years' time, I reckon that the consumer is going to be able to pick up their goods, let's say, while sitting in the buy from America, do their own shipments, do their own, clearance, and it is going to be as simple as buying anything online by using the credit card. So from the smaller product to the large commodities, it is all happening. It is all coming up, and of course, it is contributing to our economy with a greater deal. We talked about $260 trillion. I think it is, we are talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and trillions of dollars to be actually moved this way. And, hopefully it is going to be able to change the world's economy towards a greater goal and greater, impact. So there we are. Again, thank you very much for everyone to, listening to the impact and of course, what's happening into the logistics world from the point of view of connectivity. I welcome any questions if you may have in this such regards. whether here or you can post it. We're going to be able to actually send it back to you, those answers. But, here we are.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alam. Actually, yes, we do have a few questions from our audience, and I'm going to read them one by one and give you the chance to answer each. So the first one we have says, how can customers who highly rely on the e-commerce channel ensure that their money, personal information, and purchased product are safe?
Well, very good question. This question has been in the head of the consumers from the day one when the e-commerce ever started back in 2001. Over the period of last 20 years, the regulators, the financial institutions, plus a regulator from the point of view of the government in terms of customs have actually been working towards ensuring this element for the consumer. So the first part that I'm going to give you answer into twofold. The first is from the financial safety and security. So now here we are, we have the online financial channels or the financial institutions are now much more robust. Of course, your forgery are happening. Forgery does happen. All these sort of wrong activities always happens. But the good point is that 20 years ago, it was very hard for financial institutions to figure it out whether it is forgery or it's a genuine case. But now it is very easy for them to basically figure it out that whether there's been done by the right person or wrong. Thankfully, there are some elements which make them aware about the situation. So from the point of view of the banking, it's easy. So they have got different stage gates, instances which has been created for consumers to shop online freely and with a free of mind. And if anything happens, God forbid, during the purchase, from the point of view of them being ripped off by any culprit online, there are elements which can actually protect them towards it. So that's the first thing. And the second part of the question is that how easy it is for the product to be, of course, refunded through online. I mean, again, I'm here in Europe, and we have, and that goes similarly with in UAE as well. Now we have a consumer rights. If the consumer basically, and that regulation is really helping these industries to move forward further up. And now it's a free of mind, cooling off times. You can actually just buy anything online and actually return it to certain days. Some of the companies are actually allowing it to be returned within 30 days. Some of them are 14 days, so it is easy for them to actually just refund it. With no hassle, except they have to put the return label onto the packages. And it is basically going back into the hands of manufacturers, so they can actually return it back or replace it with the other products or with the shipment in itself.
Thank you for that answer. And the second question would be, how do you arrange an e-commerce site to make it functional so people are likely to buy a product or at least add it to the cart?
Very interesting. Good question. very good question. So I don't think many people are aware of that. If I take you back 5 years ago, you could not have actually think about having an e-commerce shop without being contacted an IT company like us or anyone in the world. And you have to arrange not only an IT company to actually doing that, but you also have to arrange your banks to work with them, or your shipment companies to work with them and all that. In last 5 years, what has happened that now you can set up your online shop in literally 15 minutes and as low as $15 per month to be able to sell your goods, where all the other integral factors such as payments, such as deliveries, such as returns, and such as storing your goods, whether it's in your own country or internationally, are available as little as $15. So now it's a matter of creating your profile, just like we do on social media, on these channels, which are greatly available, and they take away all the problems from your head from storing your goods and delivering it to your consumer and receiving those money from them before the goods gets dispatched and actually remit that money to your account. So it is now being a opportunity even for a small girl in Dubai manufacturing abayas to be able to sell anywhere in the world without she be having any knowledge of IT, and yet she gets all her money insured to be in her account once her product are getting sold. And that applies not only for abaya making manufacturing girls who are working as an independent entrepreneur. I'm talking about this to be applied on every segment of their cottage industry, every segment. You name it, and you can be able to sell. Now it's a chance that, you will talk about, you are only going to be sell on Amazon. Fair enough, you can sell on Amazon, but why only on an Amazon when you can have 50 of your stores to be managed by you by click of a button? That's why we said the new era of e-commerce, click and ship. And when you talk about clicking, that click is about selling and receiving the goods on the same time. So it's a very, very interesting era and time we are living in. 15 minutes, only $15 a month, you can be able to sell your goods anywhere in the world and receive the money without any worries.
That's a very exciting answer. I'm sure most of our audience would be thinking of these options that they can do that easily. Hopefully they do. Anyway, so to move forward, because we're getting the questions, and as I said before, some of them we're already answering and some of them we are sharing with you. What would you recommend are the top 3 things small businesses need to pay attention to following the pandemic and disruptions in supply chain? 3 top things.
Can you repeat that question again? I'm registering.
What would you recommend? So your recommendation on top 3 things small businesses need to pay attention to after the pandemic in supply chain and the disruption, of course.
As I've said, supply chain, as I've said, the small business should always think about having their product to be placed onto 2 channels. One is the e-commerce channel, one the social media channels. They cannot neglect this factor. Buyers' behavior are changing. 54% of them, I would say 60% of them only buy things once somebody actually have said good thing about that particular product on social media and the authenticity of that. It's very important. Second of all, please do not think that if somebody is charging you to handle your e-commerce on a larger amount is going to be a good one. No, do your research, get the best of the best subscriptions for you on a very cheaper level. Do not pay any money more than, I would call it, if you are actually if you're just selling 50 items online, I don't think you should be paying more than $50 a month to run your one e-commerce platform. It's as cheap as it. So do not throw money. Do not throw money. And the third thing, which is very important and which you always should care about, is, you always respond to your customer, no matter what, good or bad. Once you actually think about avoiding any bad comments online, you are going to be in history. So always be on top, always engage with your customers. And once you always engage with the customers, customer would know that you are the one who will not shy away if anything goes south, and they always trust you. At least I do. So these are the 3 things, minor things which you need to actually keep in your mind. And of course, there are some other factors which you should always keep in mind being a small business owner. But these 3 are going to make your business fly like anything if you're going to stick to those 3 fundamentals.
The next question actually focus on regulation. So I'm sure you will have the answer as well. What are the main regulations or reforms that should take place in a country to ensure a well-regulated e-commerce sector?
Well, thank you. Well, first and foremost, we should always thank you that we're living in Dubai. which are already, 5 miles ahead of the rest of the world. So thankfully, but the problem happens when the product goes to the other side of the ocean, how connected they are, how good they are. So what I actually just think is, just like all these channels which are generating the e-commerce platforms for a consumer, I personally think if the bank could attach with them, logistics company can attach with them, then why can't a regulator as well? So regulators needs, or at least open up their platforms from the point of view of declarations and receiving those duties online, and make it easy for a consumer to know that what they need to pay. Nobody's shy away of paying the duties. Problem is when they have to go through a third party such as freight forwarders or customs agents, then they only are relying on the information which has been provided to them by them. So what needs to be done is from the regulator to make their services easily understandable by a consumer, get it connected by these channels with which they can receive the money from these suppliers, and actually they can actually get the money from those channels, and make it easy for consumers to be able to deal with them and actually get their work done. No worries if they need to basically pay any money, but at least a business should know that what money to be paid and why they are paying. And once you make it obvious, at least a clarity, can help these industries move forward as well.
Okay, our last question, actually, somehow you did answer, but maybe the person asked once more from your time and answer on it. It is often said that e-commerce solutions benefit technology-enabled SMEs or larger companies, and to a lesser extent, micro enterprises. What are your thoughts on this?
I absolutely disagree to that. I absolutely disagree to that. It's actually a matter of not having a proper knowledge about it. Like I said, how many of us know that we can actually have a shop of ours digitally on e-commerce for the sake of $15? Many of us know, but over 90% do not know. And it's a fear of them are restraining towards hopping onto it. Let's talk about, a shop is being run by an entrepreneur who's over 50 or 55. He may or may not be as savvy, to go online and actually do his business compared to his son or daughter who are from that era, who only know this is how the thing's done. So him being fearful is not letting him grow. What I'm trying to say is that if he or she can get onto the social media and actually like the posts, comments about post, or uploading your own experience about environment or whatever he has been from, if he can do that kind of work, he can of course do and run his own e-commerce shop. It is simple, it is easy, it is doable, and it is manageable when it comes to price. So I encourage every SMEs to forget the IT companies, to do not even think about them exist, and just stick to some of those platforms which are available in the world, and actually let their shop to go online and actually do their businesses and grow their businesses. Or if they can't do that, at least they can start doing things through social media as well, because social media is very powerful as well. So I think this way and method can help them to generate the revenue which they have never seen. They might not aware what could they could do. They have not hit their potential yet. And once they are into the world of social media and into the e-commerce, they would know that this is a different kind of ocean where they can actually sail, and they can sail very efficiently on that as well.
As for the questions from audience, that was the last, but I would like to raise a point here. If you like to highlight something to our audience, if you want them to focus on something before we end this beautiful KnowTalk session.
So I have two desires. The first desire is to see in GCC, especially in UAE, every single girls and boys under 25 to be a complete entrepreneur. That's my desire. That's my wish. If I can see this happen, I'll be the most happiest person. And they can do it. I would like to have our children to think about it, being an entrepreneur right from the beginning, because there is no such thing called that you have not grown up to actually run the business. Please, 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 whatever you do it online. Whatever you do it assetless. Do it less heavy investment. Do it with the philosophy of making money on some existing environment and choices. Do it online. I want everyone to be an entrepreneur, because once the philosophy of being an entrepreneur goes into your head, it is going to be changing the nation. It is going to be changing you individually in itself and your environment. And that's how we can actually help others greatly, if we all connected with each other and actually making ourselves profitable to make other profitable. If you are not first profitable by yourself, you can't help others. So with that note, that now e-commerce is already there, and of course it is getting easier and easier. I wish everybody, I wish every single person, even before 20, to be an entrepreneur. That is what my desire and wish to actually see it, especially in the UAE, especially in Dubai, which is my home. I just want everyone to be flourished there like anybody's business.
Beautiful said, because I do personally know some teenagers, actually very, very successful online on their social media, selling, buying, purchasing. It's amazing how they grow. And I share the same wish. Thank you, Dr. Alam. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the audience for being here with us. That's Sarab. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me again. Thank you.